This was a really fun and weird night. There were a few upsets from the undercard where Tony Kelly just broke Randy Costa, to that weird co-main event where Juliana Pena submitted Nunes pretty effortlessly in the second round. The biggest shock to me wasn't Pena winning, but it was the manner in which Nunes fought. She was literally just standing in front of Pena and throwing winging punches with no setup, and she wasn't moving her head or her feet at all. It was extremely strange to see, and as you all know, straight punches beat looping punches. The straight punches of Pena got through and were able to intercept the big looping shots of Nunes. But what's extremely weird is that the sequence of strikes that went down wasn't anything we have never seen before. Nunes is actually great at countering straights with her overhand right. It's one of her best counters by far. The problem was that she was not moving her head whatsoever. When you want to counter with a rear overhand, you have to move your head on the inside of the jab or the outside of the cross or straight. This is actually how she was able to knock out Chris Cyborg, but here it just wasn't happening, and I think there's a few reasons to it. Now, a lot of people will say fatigue, but I don't think that was the main factor because we've seen Nunes be able to go a hard 5, even 10 minutes without slowing down. No, what happened was that Nunes just got impatient. Heading into this fight, she probably felt that not only did she have to win, but she had to do it very convincingly. And even though she was more or less dominating Pena in the first round, once those jabs and straights started landing from Pena, Nunes just got impatient and wanted Pena out of there. Again, a very weird and uncharacteristic performance by Nunes, but you have to respect Pena now because she was able to enforce her will throughout the entire fight, and she essentially broke Nunes because when she got Nunes to the ground, Nunes just tapped with barely any resistance. Now, Pena matches up very well with a few contenders like Irene Aldana and maybe even Ketlin Vieira, but she is not beating Germaine de Randamie, and I think Nunes will beat her in a rematch if she learns from her mistakes and comes back the way she used to. As for that main event, Charles Oliveira submitted Poirier in the third round. The fight started out very bad for Oliveira because he got dropped twice, and even though he was landing some big knees and elbows of his own, and front kicks also, the fight was turning into a battle of wills, and I really didn't see Oliveira winning that. But once he got his wrestling going, it was essentially a wrap. I'm telling y'all, you need to respect Oliveira's wrestling game. May not look like it, but he's a very strong and technical wrestler. He has some good blast doubles, but where he shines is in the clinch. He is just so strong with his body lock. I mean, in that first or second round, he essentially just muscled Poirier to the ground with that mat return, and Poirier wasn't able to do much against it, even with a strong wizard in place. And that back take in the third was just a thing of beauty. He slipped under Dustin's punch and just pounced on his back. And one thing Oliveira has gotten so much better at is not forcing takedowns or engagements. Because before, in his featherweight days, he would just spam takedown after takedown after takedown with no setup until he got it to the ground. And it worked a lot of the time. But against guys like Anthony Pettis, he would just get too desperate and tire himself out just spamming takedowns. And eventually he ended up getting finished or losing a decision. As good as that performance was, though, I really don't like his chances heading into a fight with Justin Gaethje. Because Gaethje is a sharper counter-striker than Poirier, and he carries legit one-punch KO power. If he just tries to march Gaethje down and enter the Thai plum like he did against Poirier, I don't see Oliveira making it out of the first round. But Oliveira does pose a serious problem in his wrestling. Even though Gaethje is a very good wrestler, he's shown weaknesses here and there, especially in his Khabib fight where he slipped up multiple times, either as he was moving away or getting his kicks caught and paying for it with a takedown. Something like that could absolutely happen again when he fights Oliveira. But preliminarily, I actually think Gaethje finishes him. And as for Poirier, man, I have nothing but respect for the man. He always shows up with his heart in his sleeve and leaves his absolute best out there. He may not be the lightweight champ, but he'll forever be the people's champ. I don't really know where he goes from here. Maybe he can have another big payday fight with Conor, maybe Islam Makhachev, but I think most of us want to see that Justin Gaethje. I don't really have much else to say about the other fights. Well, except for that Jeff Neal versus Ponzinibbio fight. Ponzinibbio is definitely over the hill. I mean, he used to be an absolute technician, but ever since that layoff, he just isn't the same anymore. Like, he's always had a knack for getting into brawls and such, but his accuracy and just his reactions to strikes are not on the level they used to be. And Neal, despite almost losing, had a pretty great performance in my opinion. Mostly defensively. Offensively, he had some good combinations, but he was just a bit too hesitant. He needed far more activity, and he did show that urgency in the third round, but that's been his Achilles heel for the last few fights, along with his allergy to cutting off the cage. And I don't think it was a fear of getting countered or anything, because he was actually rarely getting hit clean by Ponzinibbio. He actually showed beautiful defense in this fight. There were multiple sequences in the second and third where he was literally making Ponzinibbio miss by millimeters or completely deflecting and blocking his punches. But the thing is, you have to follow that up with something. MMA is an offense-based sport. You don't win by slipping and deflecting punches all day. That's all I have to say about that. I meant to put this out a bit earlier, but because I live in Europe, I had to stay up to 6 in the morning to watch the entire event, and I'm also pretty sick, so I needed some much needed rest. I just want to say thank you to everyone for watching this. This recent boost in subscribers and views has been just mind blowing. I'm getting like at least 20 to 30 people a video who seem to genuinely care about my videos, which is awesome. I'm looking to put out a Q&A video soon. I don't have that many questions, so if you have anything on your mind you want to ask me, then feel free to do so on either the community tab or on my videos. I read virtually all the comments. Nevertheless, thanks for watching and have a good day.